You know, looking at this stack of research on New Orleans history,
Okay.
I've got to be honest, I feel a little lied to.
Oh, how so?
Well, you go to the French Quarter, right? You see the fleur-de-lis, you eat the beignets. The branding is just so persuasive.
It is. The French Connection is what everyone knows.
But these documents suggest that if you really want to understand the city, you shouldn't be looking at Paris. You should be looking south to San Juan.
It's a massive reframe, isn't it? We're diving into what the sources call the Circum-Caribbean Exchange, and they argue that for, 300 years, New Orleans and Puerto Rico weren't just trading?
No, not at all. There were two ends of the same strategic system.
Right. The Spanish Lake. That term really says it all.
It does.
To the Spanish Empire, the Gulf of Mexico wasn't a barrier. It was basically a highway. Puerto Rico was the fortress at the entrance, and New Orleans was the northern outpost.
Functionally one big military theater. But here's where the research gets really specific. It's not just that they were on the same map. It's the people themselves. The settlers in Louisiana were coming through this pipeline.
A very specific one.
Yeah, starting in Puerto Rico. Can you walk us through this blood tribute? Because that sounds, well, intense.
It sounds dramatic, I know, but it was really just cold, hard logistics. Back in 1678, Spain needed to populate its colonies, so they started the Tribut de Sangre.
The blood tribute.
And basically, for every ton of goods you wanted to trade, you had to send 5 families from the Canary Islands to the colonies to beef up security.
Okay, so that's the Canary Islands, but how does that connect Puerto Rico to the bayou?
Well, Puerto Rico became the holding tank. A huge number of these Canary Islanders, who were later called Isleños, they settled in Puerto Rico first. Then, a century later, Spain needs to secure New Orleans from the British.
And they don't send troops from Madrid.
No, why would they? They just dipped into that big population pool they'd already built in Puerto Rico.
So the famous Isleños of Louisiana, the people who founded places like St. Bernard Parish, a lot of them weren't coming straight from Europe.
Not at all. They were already seasoned Caribbean settlers. And it wasn't just farmers either. It was military leadership.
This is General O'Reilly in 1769.
Yes. He gets there and establishes the Fixed Infantry Regiment. And that word, fixed, is crucial. These soldiers didn't rotate home to Spain.
They stayed. It created a permanent career ladder.
That's the perfect way to put it. You'd start as a cadet in the San Juan garrison, and your promotion was a post in New Orleans. It was a direct transfer of human capital.
Okay, so that covers the 1700s. We have the military, the soldiers, but then the documents. They shift gears hard in the 19th century. We stop talking about forts and start talking about cigar factories.
Ah, the tobacco boom. And this is where the influence shifts from military to intellectual.
Right. You get this influx of tabacero cigar makers from Puerto Rico and Cuba. But the key is, these weren't just manual laborers.
No, they were arguably the most well-read working class in the entire hemisphere.
Because of the lector, the reader. I found this absolutely fascinating. Can you explain how this actually worked on the factory floor?
Okay, so picture it. A huge warehouse, hundreds of people rolling cigars, and it's silent. In the center, on a raised platform, is one person whose only job is to read aloud.
It's like a live human podcast for the workers.
That's the perfect analogy. In the morning, he reads the news. In the afternoon, literature, political theory, Victor Hugo, Cervantes, even Marx.
So these factories become universities.
Exactly. And that's why El Mississippi, the very first Spanish-language newspaper in the U.S., was founded in New Orleans in 1808. The city was this incubator for revolutionary ideas, all driven by this Caribbean diaspora.
So if we have soldiers and merchants and these hyper-literate revolutionaries, why is this connection so invisible today?
Yeah.
You walk down Bourbon Street, you don't see plaques about Puerto Rican heritage.
It's a data problem. It's basically a clerical error of history.
What do you mean?
Well, remember, until 1898, Puerto Rico was part of Spain. So when the U.S. census takers came around in New Orleans, they didn't write Puerto Rican, they just wrote Spanish.
And just like that, an entire identity is statistically erased.
It just vanished from the official record. But the physical evidence is still there if you know where to look.
You mean like the architecture?
Oh, it's everywhere. Look at the Ponce Creole style in Puerto Rico and the townhouses in the French Quarter. They're practically siblings. Brick, stucco, the wrought iron.
They were using the same building codes.
Shared craftsmen, shared solutions for dealing with the heat and hurricanes.
And the food. You have to talk about the jambalaya.
Of course. It's the ultimate smoking gun. Culinary historians trace jambalaya as a direct, local adaptation of either Spanish paella or, more likely, Puerto Rican asopao.
That one-pot sticky rice dish.
Just made with ingredients from the Louisiana Delta instead of the Caribbean. It's the same culinary DNA.
So when we zoom out, the big takeaway here is that New Orleans isn't just a southern city with French accent.
Not for a huge part of its history. For centuries, it was the northernmost city of the Caribbean. The people who built it, who defended it, who fed it, their world looked south to San Juan, not north to Washington.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
The French Quarter, the most iconic part of the city, was almost entirely rebuilt under Spanish rule, using Caribbean materials and designs.
Yes, right.
So you have to ask yourself, is New Orleans an American city that just likes to party?
Or is it actually the only Caribbean capital located on the North American mainland?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.